What if you woke up one morning, covered in dirt, scratches all over your arms, clothes torn, and no memory of how you got there? What if you weren't alone? Your two best friends were beside you, just as lost, just as terrified, and just as clueless about the blood on all your hands. That's exactly what happened to Emily Carter, Ryan Blake, and Hannah Lee on the night of April 17, 2002, a night the small town of Brooksville would never forget, a night that left one person dead, 3 people alive, but broken and absolutely no answers, or so they claimed. This is a story of friendship betrayal and a truth buried so deep, it took 20 years to claw its way back to the surface. Brooksville was the kind of town where everyone knew each other's middle names and family secrets, or at least they thought they did. Emily, Ryan, and Hannah were inseparable since middle school. Emily was the responsible one, the future lawyer with straight A's. Ryan was a charming troublemaker who could talk his way out of anything. Hannah was a creative soul, quiet but fiercely loyal to the 2 people she called her family. On the night in question, they were just supposed to hang out at Ryan's cabin by the lake. A few drinks, some music, nothing wild. But by sunrise, the police found them stumbling down an empty road. Clothes wet from the lake, shivering and in shock. None of them could remember anything after 11:30 p.m. the night before. None of them could explain why their friend, 22-year-old Mark Rivers, was found in the woods nearby, bludgeoned to death. No one could explain why the tire tracks near his body matched Ryan's truck. And no one could explain why Emily's necklace was found clenched in Mark's hand when they found him. The interrogation room smelled like stale coffee and desperation. The 3 of them sat in separate rooms while the Brooksville PD tried to piece together a timeline. At first, the police thought it was simple. One of them had to be lying, but every single detail they gave, or didn't give, matched up. Same drinks, same music, same memory gap. The last thing Emily remembered was sitting on the cabin porch, listening to the crickets. Ryan remembered Hannah laughing at something stupid he said. Hannah remembered nothing at all, just darkness. Then, waking up with mud in her hair and a bruise on her arm the shape of fingers. The town turned on them quickly. Rumors spread like wildfire. Theories exploded. Maybe they'd all been in on it. Maybe Mark had attacked one of them, and the others had stepped in. Or maybe something darker, something unplanned, had happened. The case went to trial despite the fact that there was no murder weapon, no fingerprints that didn't belong to them, and no eyewitnesses. The prosecution leaned on circumstantial evidence and the idea that no memory was just too convenient. But here's the twist. The jury couldn't convict. There was too much doubt, too little evidence. They walked free legally. But in Brooksville, freedom doesn't erase suspicion. For years, they could walk into a diner without hearing whispers. People crossed the street to avoid them. Parents warned their kids not to go near them. They didn't just lose a friend that night. They lost their lives as they knew them. Emily moved to another state. Ryan stayed but became a recluse, and Hannah tried to pretend she could outrun the past, but it followed her everywhere. Then came the letter. It arrived at Emily's office one rainy afternoon, no return address. Just 5 words, written in shaky handwriting. I know what you did. Inside was a photo, grainy, black and white, showing Emily, Ryan, Hannah, and Mark by the cabin the night he died. The problem? Emily had never seen that photo before, and Mark looked very much alive, but he was bleeding from his temple. She called Ryan immediately. He denied knowing anything, but his voice shook. Hannah, on the other hand, didn't answer her phone for days. When she finally did, she was crying. Emily, I think I'm starting to remember. She told him about flashes, Mark shouting, Ryan holding something heavy, Emily screaming for them to stop. But she still couldn't remember how it ended. They met at the old cabin, thinking maybe the place would trigger something. It did. Emily remembered falling, hitting her head. Ryan remembered pulling Mark away from Hannah. Hannah remembered pushing, the ground giving way, the thud, silence, and then Ryan saying, "We have to make it look like an accident." It wasn't until they returned to town that they realized someone had been watching them, a figure in a dark hoodie, camera in hand. Days later, another letter arrived. The truth will come out. That truth came 2 months later, when police arrested Ryan for an unrelated assault charge, and his DNA matched the hair found in Mark's hand. Cornered, Ryan confessed. It wasn't premeditated. Mark had gotten aggressive with Hannah after drinking. Ryan stepped in. Things got physical. Ryan pushed him too hard. Mark hit his head on a rock. In the chaos, Emily and Hannah panicked. Ryan convinced them they'd all go down for murder if they told anyone. So they dragged Mark's body to the woods, staged it to look like he'd wandered off drunk. The memory loss? Not real, at least not for Ryan. Emily and Hannah had blocked it out. Trauma burying the details so deep, they only surfaced years later. When the trial reopened, Brooksville came alive again with gossip and outrage. Ryan pleaded guilty to manslaughter and obstruction of justice. Hannah testified against him, her voice shaking but steady. Emily read a statement to court, her hands trembling. We told ourselves we didn't remember because remembering meant facing the truth, and the truth was unbearable. But we owe it to Mark and to ourselves to finally speak out loud. Ryan was sentenced to 15 years in prison. As the gavel came down, Emily felt something she hadn't felt in 20 years, the weight in her chest lifting just a little. In the end, the town still remembered them as the ones from that night. But Emily and Hannah learned that running from the truth only gives it more power. It hides in the corners of your mind, whispering, until you have no choice but to face it. And when you do, it's not freedom that greets you. It's justice. Justice for Mark. Justice for themselves. Because memory might fade, but guilt never does. And sometimes, the only way to heal is to remember.